Welcome back to Your Relationship Roadmap. So this is the 9th in the series of 9 videos. Now in this video, I just want to quickly recap on what we've covered in the series and also share a little bit about why I'm actually doing this. So, in the previous 8 videos, in the first video we covered the structure of relationships and we talked about respect. This is foundational in a relationship. In my world, the foundations of all relationships are like, respect, and trust. Why would you be in a relationship with someone you don't like? The respect component, my definition of respect is being able to sit and zip it. To really respect your partner or another person where you can take time to really listen to them. Put yourself aside. I'll keep saying the number 1 skill in relationships is learn to listen with your heart. Number 2 skill is learn to express from your heart. So when we really respect somebody, we're listening to them without any criticism, without any judgment, without any opinion, not making any assumptions. We just really want to listen to what's going on in their world. We want to be able to understand them. We want to be able to accept their viewpoint. When we can accept someone's viewpoint, then we can see it from their side. In the next video, we talked about trust. Trust is creating an environment that is safe, where there's no punishment. Nobody is being made wrong. It's completely accepting, it's completely safe, where anything and everything can be expressed. The reason that people will lie or people will not tell the truth, people will not say things at times, they will lie by omission if you like, is because people don't feel safe. There's a lot of people that are trying to work out how someone is going to react to what they're going to say, and in that way they're not actually communicating authentically what's going on inside themselves. So we want to create an environment that's safe where everything and anything can be expressed. Where you can truly just say, look, perhaps I'm feeling down today, or I might be feeling upset. Rather than when your partner asks you, what's wrong? You go, nothing. So we want to be able to learn to be able to fully express ourselves and be accepted. We've got to create that safe environment so we can actually share what's going on inside our world. If you have children, this is critical. I may have shared that I'm actually been adopted as a grandfather, so I actually have a 4-year-old granddaughter. And one day she said to me something, she told me something and then used these magic words, "Don't tell mummy." And when I heard those words, I realised that not all children are telling their parents everything. So that brought us on to the next video, where we're talking about connection. We need to connect before we can communicate. There was enough of a connection between me and my granddaughter that she felt safe enough to tell me something, and she trusted me enough not to tell her mummy. And to be honest, I haven't told her mummy what she told me. It was not significant. But I have to do that for myself out of integrity. So we've got to connect before we can communicate. And if you remember, there's 5 levels of connection: spiritual, intellectual, emotional, physical, and sexual. And sexual, in my world, remains inside the relationship. I also talked about spiritual as being really questioning, who am I really? Because I'm not my body, I have a body. I'm not my emotions, I have emotions. I'm not my thoughts because I have something like 60,000 thoughts a day, and most of them, I had the same ones yesterday. And where do our thoughts come from? They pretty much come from everybody else. From our parents, from school, from the books we read. We have very few original thoughts. There might be times when you have quiet times when you listen to like this inner voice, this inner guidance, where you actually hear things differently. You trust your gut, if you like. There's a knowingness that can be developed when you actually slow things down and actually quieten the mind and actually really listen. So, connections in relationships are really important because relationships are all about connection. And the stronger your connections, the stronger your relationship. In fact, the strongest connections, if you have a partner, should be with your partner and not with other people. Because a lot of affairs will start when people are unhappy in a relationship and all someone does is listen to them. They create a safe environment, and then an emotional connection shifts from the relationship to someone else. Those are things that should be addressed inside the relationship. The next video, I talked about the talking stick. Because remember when my granddaughter told me something and said, "Don't tell mummy," that was the moment, a defining moment in my life when for me it became mandatory that every relationship and every family need a talking stick. The talking stick is a Native American Indian tradition. The reason you need a talking stick is because when you create a talking stick, it creates that safe, secure environment where people can share everything, and then you bring in the respect where one person talks and everyone else listens. So the rules are, one person talks, the other people listen without any criticism, judgment, opinion, evaluation or assumption. You can clarify what the other person's saying, and then the person will also verify that you've actually heard and you understand what they're saying before they hand the talking stick over. You also want to observe to see any reactions that are going on. Next, we had communication. Now remember, only 7% of our communication is a spoken or written word. 38% is the tonality in the voice that we use. And 55% is body language. So wherever possible, the best communication is when you're face-to-face with somebody, or you're using FaceTime or some Skype or some sort of video feed if you're at a distance. That is the best way to communicate. I also talked about where communication will break down. So for example, I talked about simplex and duplex. Duplex meaning you've got two messages going the same way. You've got two people expressing their individual opinions at the same time. Really, you want one person to be expressing their opinion and the other person listening to understand it. So we want to slow down communication. Also, I talked about, if you're interrupting, if you're talking and sharing what's going on for you and someone interrupts you, how does it make you feel? Probably not heard. A lot of people, when someone has expressed something, they will just give their opinion straight away. Watch out for these two words. If you are talking to somebody and the first words out of their mouth after you finish talking are but and yeah but, well guess what? They haven't heard you, because all I've been doing is waiting to give you their opinion. However is another form of but. I gave an example in the video that if at work you've done a report and the boss says, look, that's a great report, but you need to focus on this and this, you're probably going to take that as a criticism. If the boss came along and said, look, that's a great report, and if we do this and this and this, it'll be, look, sensational, you're going to take that as a pat on the back and you'll willingly go out and make those additions. Changing one word from but to and has a huge difference, makes a huge difference in the way that we communicate. So be very, very careful if you're talking, you hear the word but or however come back at you. Be very careful if you're using the word but or however, because you need to check in to see whether or not you are thinking that your opinion is more important than the other person's opinion. Next, we came on to commitment. And I broke that down into 4 levels: commitment to self, commitment to partner, commitment to relationship, and commitment to change and growth. I gave a little exercise where you just simply evaluate those out of 10, just to see where you're at. Then we moved on to the same interest that you enjoy together, and I gave you an exercise to do where look at what you currently enjoy doing together, list them out, what you used to enjoy doing together, and then write 101 goals. If you've got a family, get everyone in the family to do this so that you'll then have a rich resource of things that you can be doing. 101 goals are things you want to do, have, or be. The final video was about separate interests, meaning that in a relationship, typically you have 2 people that are complementary opposites, and it's natural to have separate interests. Sometimes someone can sacrifice their separate interests for other people. It's often in the separate interest where your passion lies. So for example, if someone likes art or likes drawing or appreciates the fine arts and the other partner doesn't mean that that person shouldn't still be doing things in those areas, because that will nourish and feed their soul. So what I've covered in this series of 9 videos really is just the first module of 12 in your relationship roadmap. This is about setting the foundation so you get an idea of a structure that you can work with. The other 12 modules will go into different aspects of relationships and give more strategies to help improve your relationship. When I was actually building the online course, I went through and there's well over 40 different strategies that can be used to improve your relationship. So there's a real richness. There's almost too many there. That's why I've structured the online Your Relationship Roadmap to also include a weekly email that I send out just to give you, for a year, so there's 52 of them, a focus to work on to improve your relationship. The reason I'm doing this is when I was in my early 20s, I was in relationships, and relationships for me never seemed to last. I'm originally from New Zealand, and at that time, I think I was 23, 24, and the company that I was working for, I became redundant. So I decided to leave the country, move across to Australia. And in my mind back then, my goal was to go to Germany, because I worked in the IT, information technology industry, buy a BMW motorbike and a BMW car and bring them back. That was my goal in my early 20s. I got to Melbourne, Australia. I got a job. And then I fell in love and got married very quickly. So that sort of goal plan went out the window. When I got married, my wife had a 2.5-year-old daughter. So I immediately went from being single into married life. And to be honest, I didn't cope with that very well. So I'm around 27 now, and we've actually had our son. And I made lots of mistakes. I was still trying to lead a single life while being married. I wasn't listening to my wife. I found it easier to be at work because I justified that as supporting the family, but not really being present for my wife and my children. And in the end, the biggest lesson that I learned was that love is not enough in a relationship. Love's not enough. We need skills, we need knowledge, and we need support to make relationships work. Back then, there was nothing like what I'm offering you now, because if I had half the stuff that I cover in your relationship roadmap, if I even did a quarter of it, I would still be married with my wife. And I don't even have any contact with my children or my wife anymore. That's not, from my point of view, I've always been open, they've got my phone number. But who I was back then obviously caused them so much pain that they actually really didn't want anything to do with me. So that's been a really big driver for me to understand relationships so other people don't have to go through the pain, the depression, the suffering that I went through in my 30s when I completely lost my family, lost my relationship, and lost myself. What I bring in your relationship roadmap are all the lessons that I have learned, all the things that I could have done, all the strategies that if I put into place that would have had me with my dream family, because my dream was to have a son and a daughter, to own our own home, and to have a happy relationship. So I encourage you to review the videos, and if any of this is speaking to you, then feel free to visit the website. You'll find it in the link below. And I encourage you to learn about relationships, to really learn about it, because in my world I don't see that it's an essential part of our education system. Learn about relationships. Learn about the structure of relationships. Start to apply the strategy. Start to look at yourself differently. Because in my world, relationships are the most important thing. We need relationships at work. We need relationships in business. We need to understand people. There's modules in there that deal with anger, that deal with arguments, the different personality types in relationships. A communication model that is second to none. There's so many different ways that you can actually look at relationships through your relationship roadmap. And this is also cross-contextual, meaning that if you're dealing with people in any form, you can take the sex side of things out of it because that really doesn't work at work. But the rest of it, a lot of these strategies, virtually all the strategies, you can apply in a business and in a workplace sense. You can apply it with your parents, with your children, with friends, with colleagues, with business partners. So I encourage you, again, review the videos, go to the website, and if you're inspired, take on this course. If you need extra help, contact me directly. On the website, the vision is to actually have relationship specialists who know this body of work in all the major countries in the world, in all the major cities, so we can support you to have an exceptional, outstanding relationship. It's been a pleasure to begin to share this work with you. Please give your feedback. Please share this with other people. The world is in need of better relationships. Until next time, have fun, take care, invite other people to subscribe, and enjoy and look out for the additional content that will be coming up in the forthcoming weeks. Take care, all the best. Cheers. So what is it that you enjoy doing with your partner? Chances are, if you are currently dating, there's lots of things that you're enjoying doing together. As a relationship moves on in months and years, people tend to settle into a routine. particularly if they have a family. They start to forget about the things that they were doing when they were once dating. Sometimes in a relationship, one person can be doing more of what the other person likes. I remember a couple that got together in their early 20s, and he was big into sport. He was into his cricket and his football. And the only way that she could spend time with him was really being with him at cricket and being with him at football. So as their relationship grew, she wasn't actually doing much for herself. In fact, one of the reasons that they came to see me was because she was really feeling unhappy that her life seemed to be consumed by his. So, what is it that you guys actually enjoy doing together? So the exercise is really, first of all, make a list of the things that you currently are enjoying doing together. Then go back and make a list of the things that you enjoyed doing together in the past. This could start to just create a little bit more variety, a bit more awareness in your relationship. The third exercise I'm going to get you to do is actually write 101 goals. Now, some people freak out when they hear it, some people get excited. So this writing 101 goals is actually 101 things that you individually want to do. Things you want to do, things you want to have, and who you want to be. Do you have some career aspirations? Write them down. How much money do you want to earn? Put that down as a goal. Let your imagination go wild. For example, I'm living here in Perth, Western Australia. One of my goals is to actually drive the Nullarbor plane, which is going across the bottom part of Australia, in an Aston Martin Vantage. I figure if you're going to do it, you want to do it in style. Another one of my goals is when Richard Branson gets a Virgin Galactic commercial is to actually go into space. Why not? I've got another goal of earning $1 million a month. Don't know how I'm going to do it, but it's written down. It'll be nice to do. I had some simple ones, like I wanted to put some curtains up at my apartment. I wanted to learn to play the didgeridoo. The funny thing was that when I wrote these things down, when I came back and looked at what I'd written down, I hadn't looked at them for years, all of a sudden I looked over, yes, I had learnt to play the didge. I'd written it down, hadn't looked at my list, but I'd done it. So what is it that you want to do in your life? What are some of the things that you've forgotten about in childhood? So the idea of writing the 101 goals is to just keep on going till you get there. I used to say to my people, make your first goal, write 101 goals. Then someone said to me, that's cheating. So I said, well, make your first goal, write 102. So when you get to 102, you can tick off the first one. If you write more, you can be an overachiever. So as you go through writing the goals, what you'll find is you might get to 10, 15, 20 and then run out of things to put down. Keep pushing through. Keep pushing through till you get your 101, because by the time you get to 101 or 102, the world is a different place. You'll see something on TV, oh, I'd like to go there. Or you drive past something, I'd like to try that out. You might like to find the best hamburger in town. If you've got children, you might like to identify all the parks and go visiting all the parks and playgrounds around and you make it a bit of an adventure. Where are we going this weekend? If you've got a partner, and even do this with your children, once you've completed the 101 goals, sit down with your partner and share what they are. And if you spot something on your partner's list that you might like to do, put it on your list, highlight it, because then you've just found something that you can do together, or at least have a go at. So one of my clients, she loved to do yoga and Pilates. It was never in his mind to do it. They now love doing this together. So they found something that he never thought he would ever do, but they really enjoy doing together. So I am willing to bet if you actually take on this exercise and do it properly, you will discover something between you that neither of you ever thought that you would love doing. And if you keep doing this and you keep adding to your list, you'll never run out of things to do in your relationships. There will always be something more that you can be doing together. This will create variety. It'll create fun. It'll create adventure. And some things may not work out. Well, guess what? You'll look back and laugh at it, or other things will really work out and it'll be a memorable moment. So that's my take. In relationships, you need to have a balance of doing things that you enjoy together. The next video will be a pretty short one. It's going to be on separate interests. So until next time, here's to a happy, fun-loving, wonderful, exceptional relationship. Cheers.